Okay, this is the second video I've planned on making tonight, and this is going to be loading Ccleaner. And it's also a pretty simple and straightforward program. What you want to do is go to Piriform, Piriform.com, and it's that simple. You want Ccleaner, and if you're looking for your products, it's down here as well. Downloads, Ccleaner. This Recuba down there that you saw will actually help you bring your computers back. I always take it straight from their website, Piriform.com. And of course you go through your saving files functions. And then you're going to run it. Okay, I don't usually use the desktop shortcuts, so I turn that off. Everything else leave on. And the reason I don't use the desktop shortcut is you just right click on your trash can and it'll be right there. I don't need the release notes. We're going to run it right off the bat. Actually, I'm not. I'm going to show you. Finish. Now, all you have to do is right click on your trash can, open Ccleaner or run Ccleaner. Run tells it to just run the cleaning process right off the bat, and the only time you'll ever see anything is if you look down by the clock. You'll now see this little C with a brush blinking. And then if you actually click it open, what you'll get is this. Now, what you're going to get, go to Tools, and you'll see that here's your uninstall list. It's much faster and quite frankly, a lot more stable than Windows built-in uninstaller, and it shows a lot more. You also have control of everything that starts up, both with Windows when you log in, whenever you start your Internet Explorer, your Firefox, scheduled tasks, and even the right-click menu. So you can see what's all available, and then you can actually highlight something and disable it or delete it. Even the startups, to get rid of stuff to stop things from starting up while you're working. File Finder is a nice little addendum which helps kind of look for duplicates as far as files that are exactly identical. It'll find them that way, and it's not that bad. Of course, it matches by name, file size, and date. Use it really cautiously though. It's still not perfect. It still finds a lot of stuff that you may want to have multiple copies of. For example, your drivers, your backup copies, and different drivers for different programs. Even though they might share the same one, they each have their own version that they've installed in their own folder. System Restore helps you keep your restore points from overloading your computer. That's like when you go to back up your computer internally, you can tell it to come back and go back to a certain date. This actually assists you in making sure that you don't end up with a whole stack of them. You can always get rid of the old ones and just keep the ones that you know were good, specifics. A good hint that I always did for the longest time was anytime I bought my computer, I would make a restore point, specifically name it as first purchase. That way I knew if I had to, I could always go back to that point automatically, very, very quickly, and I never allowed that one to disappear on me. The drive wiper, stay away from it. Most people don't need to use this thing, and it does exactly what it says. It will erase your hard drive. Be very careful. Never allow this to be anything other than the free space, even when you're not using it. Options. Don't worry about the upgrade to Pro. Go into Settings, and you'll see that here is your settings. This is where it allows it to be that right click on your trash can. And here, I always turn that on. Run it when the computer first starts up, so it does a first primary clean right away. All on its own. That's a new addendum. We'll experiment with that one. Cookies are obvious. It does help clean those out. Include certain areas, exclude others, and advanced, which is really cool. In the advanced, I tell it to hide my warning messages. That way they stop popping up on me. And I also remove the check mark about deleting out of my temp folder after 24 hours. When I tell it to do something, I want it to clean out that temp folder right away. And you should, by rights, have this show prompt to back up your registry. You definitely want to make sure that's check marked for you. Anybody that's doing this that's not really sure what they're doing, go ahead and leave that on, and that way it'll ask you, do you want to save a backup of this before you clean stuff out of your registry? Go ahead and keep a stack of those as you're working, and until you get accustomed to making sure everything's okay, then worry about going ahead and unchecking the box. And then our primaries, this is the registry cleaner that we're just talking about. When you run it, I'm going to go ahead and show the prompt. When you scan for your, make sure everything is checked, and then just tell it to scan for issues. And you have to do this repeatedly on your own. This will not run automatically on startup. And I'll be back in a second when this thing gets caught up. Okay. This is what it looks like when it finishes going through the registry. This is the first time around, and basically all you do is you just click Fix Selected Issues. It asks you if you want to save your backup of your registry. You'll say yes. Find a nice, decent place to store your registry, those backup files, because then all you have to do is just double-click that file, and it'll put all these will go back into your registry where they were at originally. And then go ahead and just tell it to fix them all. And run it again. And what you're going to do is repeat this process over and over and over again until you finally come back saying no registry issues found. Like that. That's the registry one. Now this is the Ccleaner side, and what happens is you go through, fix your settings here on what it is you want it to clean out. Kind of hit and miss on experimentation. I do mark down here old prefetch for an advanced to get rid of that prefetch data, because that's stuff that are loaded into the computer automatically because you've used them on a couple of occasions, even if it's only a couple of occasions. So it'll remember that, and it kind of halfway loads the program so it's ready in memory. And it's a waste of space. So go ahead and tell it to clear out your prefetch. The trade notifications cache is down by your clock. And every icon that ever shows up there is cached. So go ahead and clear out that cache. Your size and location cache is where the windows load up each time and opens and how big they are. And I have it actually set to clear the environment path. And what that does is it looks at an internal environment variables, which are like little shorthand shortcuts to represent entire pathways to folders. Like we'll say my documents. Well, the actual my documents folder is an entire path. See, users, your name, and so on until you finally get to it. Well, that would be an environment path. Well, a lot of times if you deleted that folder, the path will still be trying to say that this should exist here when it doesn't. And that's where you're going to have issues where it can't find a folder, and you get that little flashlight that comes up scanning and searching out of the blue. Just a waste of time. Tell it to fix those as it goes. 2S log files, whether you actually are using your computer to host web services or not, make sure you clear that out. The 2S log still runs on a lot of other programs. Adobe video editing, that's a big primary one. The Microsoft network uses it. A great number of programs still use the 2S system, which is Internet Information Services. And so go ahead and tell it to clear out those log files. They're text files that are tiny at start, but over a period of time, they can become very huge and take up megabytes of space on your computer. And then I always clear out custom files and folders so that I get my original folders and how they look. If you customize your folders, like backgrounds in your window, you know, like you go to open up a folder and you've got a backdrop in here and all of that stuff, then no. Make sure that you don't check this, otherwise you'll lose that. Under applications, it'll kind of list a majority of the applications that it's preset for. On multimedia, I leave my GOM player alone if you have it. That's the only thing that's unchecked. And under my Firefox, the only things I wanted to do is clear my internet cache, my site preferences, and saved form information. And that's, I don't even let it remember my passwords at all. That's disabled. So if you have it remembering passwords and you want to clear those out, then check that box and it'll wipe out that saved password history. But that'll make sure that you know what your password was before you do that, because you'll never remember it unless you go through their help files for each site. Once you find out what you've got and get your settings done, there's two of them: Analyze and Run. On the bottom right, just go ahead and hit the Run Cleaner. And you'll do the same thing that you did with this, that you did with the registry. Run them repeatedly until they come down with tiny amounts. The cleaner will never empty out everything completely, because even as it's cleaning stuff, your Windows operating system is still adding things in. Like, here's 350 megabytes of information that was taken. If I run it again, it's still going to pull up certain areas. See, now it's skipping my Firefox. But it says 0 bytes removed. That's where you want to get to say you're done. Nothing will happen beyond that. And in our options, we have it set to start run Ccleaner when the computer starts. That will actually run this part every time the computer starts up. It will go through and clean up what's in the system during boot up, which also helps get rid of like partial uninstalls that are still floating files around. It'll help clean all that garbage out when it's finished as well. That is the majority of these two files, and you're done.